Hello and welcome to Leading with Rakael. I'm Rakael Carr, leadership strategist and a financial growth coach. So today we're going to talk about perfectionism. Perfectionism is another form of fear. I know you're just sitting there thinking, can't be so. It is. Perfectionism keeps you from so many things. And perfectionism is usually rooted and grounded in a belief that has been hardwired to our childhood. There's someone somewhere in our childhood that told us that everything had to be perfect. And that's what I call that inner gremlin. And I'm not calling your family member, your mom, your dad, auntie, grandma, whoever it is that has instilled this level of perfectionism in you. That inner gremlin is that voice that just feeds you with that head trash, that tells you things like absolutely perfect. Because what perfection does, the reason why it's another form of fear is because the purpose of perfection is so you can be beyond judgment. And I can tell you right now, you will always be judged. There is someone somewhere always judging you, even when you think you're perfect. Perfection isn't even striving for excellence. If you're trying to make everything perfect, you're thinking to yourself that, well, I'm trying to be excellent. And, even if you're religious, I'm working as if I'm working unto the Lord. That's a little bit different. Perfection oftentimes holds you back. There's certain people you can't work with because they're not perfect enough. And there's things you just won't do because there's so many things you miss out on and the world misses out on. What would happen if you put down that guard? What would happen if you were kind to yourself and kind to others? It almost makes you mean. You're mean to others, you're mean to yourself because you're looking for something that is, quite frankly, isn't achievable. And if we start thinking about perfection in the form of leadership, there's standard operating procedures that you should put in place. And a standard can be easily measured. That's a standard. That's not perfectionism. It's a standard. If you're supposed to have a product and a product is supposed to have 3 parts, that's the standard. If the 3 parts has to have 4 colors and the 4 colors are red, white, yellow, and green. You want people to strive for excellence. You want things to be good. You want them to be great. But you don't want to strive for this level of perfection where you're just nitpicking, micromanaging, or every tiny little thing. And these standards are impossible to reach because you can't even identify. If a standard is a real standard, you should be able to put it on paper. Someone should be able to look over and be able to do it. If your standard is in your head, and you have to look over every little thing, and you're giving back tons and tons of feedback because no one can really meet that standard, that's not a true standard. You're trying to reach a point that you've placed inside your head that's not really achievable. Evaluate your standards and look for the value in them. And can it be reproduced? If it's a true standard, it can be reproduced. I don't want you to allow perfectionism to hold you back, hold your team back. Maybe you want to start a business, but everything isn't perfect, so you haven't started yet. You haven't started yet because you're afraid. And I want you to move out of that fear of things not being quite right, where someone's going to judge you. People are going to judge you regardless. Is it good enough? Because there's something that you could be doing that could help someone, but you're not doing it because you're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect moment. You're waiting to be perfect because you don't want anyone to judge you, or you don't want someone to say that you're not professional, or you're not this, or you're not that. People are going to judge you regardless. And I know good might not be good enough for you, and you're looking for some level of greatness, but don't allow perfection, some of those voices, to hold you back from being kind to yourself and saying this is pretty good. Because a lot of times your good is better than some others' greatness. But the difference between them and you is they don't have a problem. They're not taking themselves too seriously that they're not afraid to start. You have to start somewhere. Netflix didn't start at Netflix being what it is today. If you remember, they used to a list of DVDs and they would mail you out one and mail you back. It turned into what it is today by starting with being good, starting with being slightly better than Blockbuster, or providing a different service line than Blockbuster. So just start. Don't be afraid to be judged. Don't be afraid to get some criticism. Just keep going and maintain some level of consistency with whatever your approach is. Because as you keep going, you get better and better. And don't take yourself too seriously. You're going to mess up. It's not going to be perfect. Don't compare yourself to someone that's been doing it for 15, 20 years. Don't even compare yourself with the idea that you have in your head. Just start and keep going and keep going. And you'll amaze yourself at the things you can achieve when you take the time to be kind to you. And when you are okay with it being good. Move from good to great. And then move from great to excellent. Because when you're held back, the world is held back from your greatness. The world is held back from your purpose. The world is held back from what we really need from you. And that is for you to get started. Because once you get started, everything's going to build off of that first step. You have to take that first step. That first step has to come out of your head, onto paper, into action. We need you to get going. Get over the head noise that's not fruitful. Get over those beliefs that aren't serving you, that aren't helping you to move forward. Get over yourself. I'm sorry. Don't be mad at me, but get over it and move forward. Move forward. Take that first step. Maintain that level of consistency. And when it's kind of, it's not as good as you want it to be because you don't have the budget to be what you think it should be, it's okay. And it still can have purpose. Don't despise your small beginnings. And it's a continual journey. Like, subscribe, forward, but most importantly, come back. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye for now.